let's do it. So Lightline on cloud. Okay, so the goal for this presentation, for this webinar, is to be able to work my PowerPoint. There we are. So the goal for this webinar is to do a recap of KLICK and the modifications that we've made to KLICK. Sorry, I'm just having some audio issues here. All right, I've got the audio sorted out here. Just the earbuds are awesome. So the goal for this presentation is to recap what we're doing with KLICK, how we've simplified the ordering process, what is KLICK, and then we're like really excited. So everybody on this call should be aware of Lightline on Cloud. And what we have for Lightline on Cloud is we've got a series of downlights, dimmers, control devices, lots of cool lighting toys that are now Wi-Fi enabled. And we did an entire OnCloud seminar on how to work it, but the goal for this one is to talk about KLICK and how we can bring KLICK into the OnCloud ecosystem. There's a few different ways of doing it that range from the easiest way to the most flexible way. And we're going to walk through how they're wired and how to control them. You guys are going to get a preview into Wiz Pro, which is the building management system for commercial or larger installations of KLICK. And then we're going to run through how to actually order it, how to get what we want out of this system. So quick recap on where we are. What is KLICK? So KLICK is architectural track lighting. So what does that mean? It means, what does architectural mean, right? It's got to be one of the biggest used words in the entire lighting industry. We have architectural products. Well, so what is architectural space? Architectural space it's really complicated, but it's architectural space is when you have an idea for a space. You've got a building, there's a vision, and we want all the pieces to work together to share a consistent message. And an architectural lighting is lighting that actually fits into the space and becomes part of the building itself. So instead of lighting the building, it is the building. So this is probably my favorite picture of what we can do with KLICK, because the straight lines of the track lighting mirror the straight lines of that long countertop, mirror the straight lines of that bulkhead up in the ceiling. The colors that we have on the outside match the colors of the mullions around the glass and the support structures, and it all comes together to be a consistent space. This is the kind of product where it's not like, hey, we're going to design this kitchen that we're looking at, and we're going to put a 4-inch octagon box over the ceiling, and then we're going to let the homeowner pick out a fixture after the space is completed. Go to Restoration Hardware and find something that they like. Find a chandelier that you like for your kitchen, right? That's not what we're doing with KLICK. This is a thought out space from the ground up, where there's a vision. The architect has a vision, the designer has a vision of what we're doing with it, and all the elements in the space work together, from the flooring to the countertops to the windows to the back wall and into KLICK itself. So KLICK is a flexible modular track lighting system that isn't put on top of the space. It is part of the space that's created. So how do we do it? So there's a couple of things, right? How do you have like a big fixture cantilevered out into space there? KLICK is made up of a few different elements. The core element is the track. That's that piece that's right in the middle of it. And that track is an extruded profile, and it comes in multiple segments. And then we can extend it out really to infinity, like the sky's the limit, because on the outside of the track, we have a flat piece of extruded aluminum that we stock in white and black, but we can custom paint color to whatever your RAL color desires, and you create a monocoque sandwich. So what that means is that the track pieces can be extended indefinitely, and then the outside pieces slide over the actual track itself, and the joints and we stagger the joints between the two sections. So that means that you've got this core aluminum channel with these outside pieces that slide on top of them and create a rigid structure without any visible light leak sags, because because the gaps overlap. I think probably everybody on this call has had some experiences with KLICK, but it's a good refresher for those of you that are seeing it for the first time. So it allows us to do long straight runs, and when we ship them broken down, and they get assembled on site, and we provide some really great drawings and instructions on how to actually assemble these quite fantastic different types of applications that we can do. We've got a family of fixtures that work in our track lighting. So starting from the left side, we've got two different styles of track head. So the top is a multi-spot track that's available in 5 heads. That's 1,000 lumens of track head. I believe it's offered in 10-degree beam angles, 10 and 15, 10 and 20 degree beam angles. I don't remember off my heart, I'm sorry. The bottom one's your sort of typical cylinder track head. The next fixture to the top right is the next two fixtures that we call the goggles. Modular, the goggles with the lens in front of it give a nice diffuse light if we're trying to do like countertop lighting and we're trying to illuminate spaces, 4 or 5 feet away. The one to the right of it is spot goggles that are 10 degrees and really throw a punch. So those are great tool if you want to do illumination in the greater than 5 feet, 5 to 15, even 20 feet away. That'll throw a really nice tight beam. The next one moving to the right is we call the multi-spot. It's available in a 5, 10, and 15 LED modules. And those are 200 lumens per LED. So your 5 light module is 1,000 lumens, 1,500 lumens, and then 2,000 lumens as you move up through the different sizes. And those are, again, at 10-degree spot LED reflectors. So really tight punch of lighting. We have a pendant. The fixture down, I don't know if you guys see my cursor over here. Super neat tool. It's a wall washer, so that kicks the light out 90 degrees to the side, gets the light tight up to the wall. Great for aisle lighting, bookcases, wall washing, artwork. And then the most sought after fixture is the bottom right, and we're going to spend some time on this one today. We did have a stutter step launching it. We had to revise it a few times, but now you can get the KL bar cut to, it's available custom fabricated in 10 centimeters, so 4-inch increments from, I believe, 1 foot up to 8 feet long. And it's available in tunable white and full color RGB. So that's red, green, blue, plus 27 to 6500K LED, or 27 to 5000K LED, full color control. And that's what we're going to spend the majority of this webinar on, is how do we get all of these different fixtures onto our OnCloud ecosystem. So how do we do it from how is it app controlled, voice controlled, or desktop webinar controlled, scheduled, all kinds of fun stuff. So without further ado, I'm going to ask, no, we're not there yet. Okay, so what is OnCloud? OnCloud is a series of smart lighting products, full color white tuning options for residential and commercial. The main benefits of OnCloud are that it's a hubless system. OnCloud is powered by a product called Whiz Connected. And Whiz Connected is a Signify company. And the relationship between Lightline and Signify is that Signify is providing the application and the technology and the cloud backend to actually run it. And Lightline is integrating that technology into our hardware, into our lighting fixtures. So the relationship is like similar to like Android and Samsung, right? Or Android and Nokia. Samsung, Nokia make a cell phone, and then Google provides the Android operating system to actually run that phone. Same idea here. Lightline is producing the lighting fixtures, whether it's KLICK or Sky or downlighting or a variety of controls that we have. And Signify is providing the providing is a good word, selling us the software operating system to actually run the application. So Lightline OnCloud, the OnCloud name, is the series of products that Lightline offers that are Whiz Connected, powered by Whiz. So this is, as far as the OnCloud ecosystem goes, this is kind of the magic touch to the whole thing. So if you go into Amazon or Home Depot or even Hue products, and you go and you get a smart light bulb, and you put it into a light fixture, put into a ceiling fixture, works great, right? It's you can use your app, you can use Alexa, you can use Google, you can do all kinds of cool stuff. But the moment somebody goes and leaves the room and like hits that off button, that off switch, even absent-mindedly, that off switch is a disconnect. It turns the power off to the lamp that's in the ceiling. So you've now disabled your voice control, you've disabled the app, you've disabled any scheduling or programming that you had to run. And that's like kind of the biggest gap in all the smart lighting ecosystems that are out there. There's lots of smart products, but lighting's neat in that, it's the only thing that we really have in our residential ecosystem that always has a disconnect, right? You can have a smart TV or a smart microwave or a smart refrigerator, but it has this permanent connection to the AC power. It's always on, so it's always available to be controlled remotely. Lighting isn't like that. Lighting is lighting's not like that. Lighting is a sorry, there's a phone ringing in the background. Give me a sec. Lighting's not like that. Lighting's it's part of the ecosystem where it's permanently connected to the it's not permanently connected to the power supply because we constantly have this disconnect. We turn the power off. So we've invented at Lightline this device here. Looks like a light switch, but it's actually not. It sends a smart on and off signal to the fixtures. It sends a Wi-Fi broadcast signal right from the device, but leaves the AC power connected. So that means that when you press off, it doesn't actually cut the power to the load. It leaves the power connected, but it sends a smart, like a remote control signal to the load to turn off. So since we're not actually just controlling the flow of electricity over copper, we're leaving that flow of electricity over the copper permanently connected, we can add all kinds of extra features onto it. So the first one is straightforward. It's on the right-hand side. That's your dimming toggle, dim up, dim down, straightforward, right? But the left side is where it gets fun. We can have CCT tuning right on the wall device. So now doing white tuning to somebody that doesn't have the app, doesn't have Alexa, is as simple as dimming a fixture. You just walk up and you press the up for cold and the down for warm. Because the fixtures are white tunable, we can even program that for circadian rhythms. The same way your iPhone or your Kindle changes the background color temperature based on time of day, we can do that with our downlights and the KL bar right through the app. It's built right in. And then at the bottom, this is where we really leapfrog and we move into like the next thing that you could never do with a light switch. You can toggle through scenes. So a scene, I left presentation mode. I'm sorry. I think after a year I'd be better at working. There we are. We're back. So I'm struggling here. There we are. So a scene is what happens when you have multiple luminaires in the same room. So you've got your downlights, you've got your under cabinet lighting, you've got KLICK, you've got maybe some light bulbs, a few different layers of lighting in the same room, and you set them up just the way you like them. And you hit save in the app. You can now save the scene and you can assign that scene to this button, and we can store up to 4 different scenes, not per fixture, but per room. And you can toggle through the scenes with the left and right arrow on the bottom. So you set the room up the way you like it, you hit save, you assign it to the app. Now there's an unlimited number of scenes that you can save to the room, and those scenes can be recalled by voice through Alexa or through OK Google or through Siri. They can be scheduled to run. But if you just want to have your quick favorite scenes, you can assign 4 of them to this actual device and toggle through them with those buttons at the bottom. So there's 2 ways really of bringing products into the OnCloud ecosystem. The simplest way is through using a dimmer or switch. And what this does is this takes a non-smart light fixture. So you can take any kind of incandescent fixture or CFL, fluorescent fixture, or even other LED fixtures that are not smart fixtures. They're your regular traditional, dimmable or non-dimmable fixtures, and you just replace the device in the wall. There's other products that are out there in the market, but this is the OnCloud solution to bring it into the Lightline OnCloud Wiz connected solution. And this is the easiest way for KLICK in particular. You can just take your regular KLICK installation with a dimming driver, hook it up to a dimmer, and now you've Wizified. You've taken your KLICK and brought it onto the OnCloud. The next way of bringing things So this is in contrast to the previous slide. So in this slide, this room controller works smart fixtures. And a smart fixture is a fixture that's an individual device on the network. It has a radio chip, it has a Wi-Fi chip. For those of you that are tech forward, it has an IP address, it has a MAC address. So each individual downlight is on the network, and these control those downlights directly. This device is for traditional fixtures that are not on the network, and they control the circuit as a whole, the same way that a regular dimmer did. So this dimmer sits on the network, but the actual fixtures don't. And that's kind of where we go. And when you're laying out an OnCloud system and saying, hey, what am I trying to control? Am I trying to control a smart fixture? Okay, then I need a room controller. Or am I trying to control a traditional fixture? Okay, then I need a dimmer or a switch. The question always comes up. How do I do a three-way? Because, hey, Dan, I noticed that your dimmer is not a three-way dimmer. What if I have a three-way application? So I want to spend 30 seconds on that. This device, this dimmer, is a smart dimmer. It sits on the network. This device controls smart devices. So this device here, if you set them up in the same room, your on, off, and your dimming and your scenes will control this dimmer directly. So if you have a three-way application, what you do is you take your load, whether it's your KLICK or a traditional downlight or a traditional halogen fixture kind of thing, you wire it up to this dimmer the same way you would wire up a traditional dimmer in a single pole application. And then for your three-way, you take the room controller, and the room controller controls the dimmer. If we were doing this thing live, I would take a scan of the audience. I'd look and see if people's eyes were glazing over or if they're directly engaged. We can't do that on Zoom. I really can't wait till we get back to presenting things in real life so I can take questions in real time. But I hope that sort of clarifies how the ecosystem comes together. Dimmer and switch are for traditional fixtures. Room controller is for smart fixtures. The dimmer and switch count as a smart fixture. So for a three-way application or four-way or five-way, doesn't matter. The load goes on the dimmer, and then the room controller controls the dimmer, and you can have as many of them as you want. Okay, how to get KLICK on cloud? What do we do? I think at this point, the simplest way to do this is to ask Laura if she would kindly turn on her video, her video, and hopefully we're up and running in our office in Richmond Hill, and we can actually demo this thing live so you guys can see the application and you can see how they're wired up, because I can talk about it for half an hour, but it gets pretty complicated if they're just words. It's a lot easier just to see it in real time. So Laura, can we get a thumbs up here? Look at this. All right, so let's zoom in. We got Laura and Gil in our tomogamy room, and we'll zoom in our camera on the KLICK.
We just have the first one ready right now.
All right, well, let's hope that we get to the other ones shortly. All right, so the first one, that's kind of the simplest installation here. So the way the first one works is you've got your regular KLICK track connected to your regular dimmable driver, and that driver is wired to the dimmer. And so the way that's going to work, I'm going to leave presentation mode.
Dan, the best way for everybody to see it better is if you double click on the on Laura's camera there. You'll see it in full screen, and you'll get a better view on what's happening. Just for the audience here.
Laura, or Sarah, are you guys seeing the Wiz Pro interface that we've got right now?
So we're seeing it. The thing is, you can't see both equally sized. So, I had it a minute ago.
So there is a way, if you go into at the top of your Zoom, there's a view option at the top right-hand corner, and you can click to do split screen, and it should show both screens a bit more equally.
So one more time, Laura, we're gonna click on more.
No, just at the top where you see the row of videos, to the right, there's a view option.
Okay.
And if you click on that, there's an option to do side by side. So this would be each individual attendee would need to do this to adjust their own view.
That's perfect. And then once you've done that, you can then slide there's a slider in between the speakers and the presentation, so you can make those equal. So you have a better view of both the screen and the product at the same time.
Okay, so the screen that I'm sharing right now is the Wiz Pro interface. It's probably the first time many people on this call have actually seen it. So I'm going to run through some of the features and give our guys there a few more minutes to just finish pairing some of the devices, and we'll get to watch it in real time. So the Wiz Pro is pretty neat. It gives us a lot of ability to do some cool stuff. Inside Wiz Pro, you've got the options to set your rhythm. So you see your circadian rhythms. You've got add new events. So this is where we can schedule events to take place. So we can just call. We can have products show on, we can have schedules to run Monday, Tuesday to start at 8:30. We turn on, we can schedule an on, a brightness change and off, or we can schedule a different type of light that's dependent on what the fixtures can handle. And then you can schedule an end time off, you hit save, and that's where you schedule your events taking place. We got stuff happening in the chat here. Dave says only seeing Dan, perfect.
No, so if you cannot see the products, go to the top right corner of your Zoom, click view, and then click side by side, either speaker or gallery. It goes side by side gallery. Once you click side by side gallery, there's a divider between the speakers and the screen, the display that Dan's displaying, and you can slide that to the middle of your screen so you can see both. I'm gonna write that into the chat just for people who need a step by step. Dan, you can continue there.
So other neat things you can do in the Wiz Pro interface, click on settings, and we can do this neat thing called floor plan. And I'm going to upload a floor plan that doesn't actually relate to, this is always scary. Is this the right device? Right. So you can upload a floor plan of the space that you're working in, and then you can drag and drop the rooms into the various floor plans. And that allows us to do a visualization of, oh, it looks like we're getting organized here. So we're going to activate all of our licenses. Okay, getting back to the floor plan. So we can drag and drop the rooms onto the space. We've got all the fixtures coming here. And then we can drag and drop the actual fixtures into the room that we're interested in lighting. Now, obviously, this isn't a layout of our boardroom. This is a visualization, but that's kind of how you can do it there. And then when you manage the building, we can look either at a list view here, or up in the top right-hand side, we can go to map view, which then maps out where the actual light fixtures are placed. And as you turn the fixtures off and on, you actually, you'll get a visual indicator as to which light fixtures are on at any given time. So hopefully everybody's able to see what's happening in real time there as we're setting up the fixtures and get the split screen and watching as they all turn off or turn on together. So getting back to like the various ways of wiring up the fixtures. The simplest way, let me flip back over to the presentation here. The simplest way is you take a click bar and a driver and you hardwire that to a dimmer the way you ordinarily would. I'm seeing stuff in the chat here. I want to make sure that, oh, that's Sarah posting there. Okay, perfect.
It's helping if you on their own, but also if I'm just reaching out if anybody still has challenges.
Perfect.
Feel free to DM me.
So what we get this is the application where we've got just a dimmer, and the dimmer we can hit on and we can hit off. Now, the thing about the dimmer is that the dimmer is just plain wired up to a regular KLICK system. So you'll see inside the app, the only options we have are for dimming. We don't have options for white tuning or color tuning because the fixtures don't support that. It's just your regular single CCT application, and we can do 100%, we can go down to 25%. Right now, the software supports 10% dimming. That's a software limitation by Signify, not a hardware limitation by Lightline. We go down to below 5%, and one of the first upgrades we're going to be making to the system is to support dimming down to below 5%. But as it stands right now, we can dim to 10%. So hopefully everybody can see us remote controlling that fixture on the left-hand side. Sarah, do you have a question?
Yeah, sorry, just I'm still having people having challenges. Do you mind just sharing your screen for a second so you can show people where they can find the view button?
Am I not? I thought I was sharing my screen.
You're in presentation mode, you're sharing in presentation mode versus your full desktop.
Okay, talk me through that. All right. So new share. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen here. Yep. Okay, so you guys should be seeing my full screen here. So the way you get to side-by-side mode is, Sarah, what do you want me to click on?
I could share mine real quick, actually. Maybe
that's probably the best bet.
Okay, I'm just going to take over for a second just to show anybody else who's still looking. Okay, screen one. Let's hope that it works. If I'm, it doesn't work as a presenter.
It doesn't. It only works as a participant.
Okay, so sorry, participants. I'll reach out to you and I can share my screen through Teams if you want in a side thing. Tan, I'll let you take back over.
All right, so let me get back to sharing appropriately. So I'm going to share screen. I'm going to go here, Wiz Pro. Okay, Sarah, is that appropriate? You guys are seeing the Wiz, and then you see the fixtures in the video?
Yeah, for me it's working great, and I'll help anybody else through on chat here.
All right, off. Okay, and then just gonna go back to list view here. So we've got this. So we should all be off here. Everything should be off. Okay, so getting back to it. We've got two views. We've got the list view, we've got the map view. I'm in list view right now. So what we're seeing is three different applications. The simplest one is KLICK connected to a dimmer. And what that allows us to do is your basic on-off functionality. That's the fixture on the left-hand side. We're turning on and off. Pretty straightforward, dimming. The next way of wiring it up, which gives us the is where we can use, I want to be careful with our terminology here, but I'm going to use the term non-dimming driver. And what it means is not that the system's not dimmable. Oh, I'm way too far. I think we're pushing the limits of what Zoom can do here. We're power users here. So this is the next sort of architecture of the way this works. So what we have going on here is a regular run of KLICK connected to what's our non-dimming driver. Now, the reason it's a non-dimming driver isn't because we don't have a dimmable system, but we want to supply constant 24-volt DC power to the actual track. And then in the track, we've got built into the track, right into the power feed, that piece that like actually feeds the power, is an individual Wi-Fi controller. So what that lets us do is that we have one driver and we can have multiple power feeds. So that allows you to segment individually addressable segments of track. We're not getting to individual fixtures, we're getting to individual segments. So in that scenario, we still don't have white tuning or color tuning because it's our same, the fixture itself is a static CCT fixture, but you can take one remote mounted driver and you can remote mount that driver as far as you want. You run wire to the fixture, And then the controller, the Wi-Fi controller itself, is mounted in the fixture inside the room, so we don't have range issues. Super slick. So to go back to the video, or to Wiz Pro, what that looks like is an installation like this one.
So Dan, sorry, I'm just going to jump in. I've solved most of the issues. For quite a few people, they can only see the speaker and the and your screen you're sharing. So whenever you're changing the lights, just have somebody, like maybe Laura, you can talk so that the other screen pops up right now.
Okay.
That's going to be our.
That's our workaround there.
Now. So Laura, do a woo when the lights move.
Yeah, I think one other thing that we could also do is if people hit escape, then it takes them out of the full screen mode, and they should be able to see all of the videos along the, like all of the panelists along the top of their screen.
Either way, Laura, I get you just to start chatting as Dan's moving those lights on the screen.
All right.
That's all right.
So, okay,
Yeah,
so to distinguish, we've got two different architectures. We've got the dimmer option. That's a regular dimmable driver. We've got the CCT controller option. So the question is, why would I use one architecture over the other? And quite simply, it's using the dimmer is a great option if you're retrofitting an existing installation, or you've got an existing space that we're installing KLICK after the fact, but basically you're wired in a traditional kind of way. The downsides to it are that it's actually more expensive than adding an individual room controller. I'm not going to get into specific pricing, but our EDC driver is a premium piece of electronics that carries a cost factor with it. By moving to the distributed model, where you've got one driver and individual segments of track, so we're putting the OnCloud controller in the actual track, you only have one driver for multiple segments. You get more flexibility, and it actually lowers the overall cost of installation because the OnCloud controller itself is priced less than an individual driver per. The other advantage to it is that you have one room controller for multiple segments. So if we were going to go with one driver per area, one dimmer per area, each segment would have an individual dimmer on the wall. So if you wanted to have 5 controllable segments, you'd end up with 5 dimmers on the wall, which can get, we're trying to, from an interior design perspective, we're trying to move away from having, those banks of like 6 gang switches that nobody knows how to use. So now we get one device on the wall. It's a room controller that controls the entire space, and it actually lowers your total overall cost of installation. So now we're getting to the really fun part, the full color options. Moving back here. For our KL bar product, we're actually putting the Wi-Fi controller in the actual fixture. We're getting really close to the holy grail of track lighting, which is individual control on each track fixture throughout a space. And you can get the KL bar in 3 versions. You can get it in a fixed CCT, which gives us a huge amount of light per space. We're talking like, 1,000 lumens per foot kind of thing, range in fixed CCT. We can do it in white tunable, or we can do it in full color, full addressable. And that's where we're going to have some fun right now. So in this installation, in that kind of installation, you can actually do something like this, where you could put a space with KL bars as individual track installations, have one driver run the whole thing, and then control these fixtures individually. So what that looks like is right here, we can turn this fixture on, and we can set.
Just talking so you guys can see the video.
See, maybe Laura, is it possible to just tilt up the fixture where I'm controlling tilt up the click where I'm controlling the fixtures individually? Perfect. Yeah, that'll work. So we can change the colors remotely, and we can turn these fixtures on one at a time. There we go. Blues are kind of working. So we've addressed the first one. We can go to the second one. We can turn that on. We can go to, I don't know, just to show that we've got the ability to try to find colors that render through the camera well. Nah, it's just, that's increasing the glare. And then we can go to, right off the bat, we've got our 2700K, 4200K, 6500K, or you can hard spec the exact, you know, we can go to 3300K as an exact color temperature and hit that individually, dim them individually, control them. And we can do these fixtures up to 8 feet in length. So we can go as small as 1 foot up to 8 foot in 4-inch increments. You can do, I mean, we can group them together. Oh, I know how to group in the app. I haven't actually done a grouping in Pro. Here we go. Room settings. We can assign favorites to each individual item, and then we can save a scene. So if this is a particular scene that we like, we can add a new scene. New scene is going to be demo 1. And then we can go back to the room if we want. Go to the whole room here. Turn it off. So now every fixture is off. Don't you love it when demos don't work properly? We can go to light settings, go back to the room, scenes. We can play the scene and it should reset all the fixtures back to the settings that we had before. So I'm sure there's going to be tons of Q&A when we get to the end of this, but the purpose of like where we were going at for this presentation was to explain how to bring KLICK into the OnCloud ecosystem, show off the Wiz Pro interface. Hopefully everybody on this call has some sample kits they've played with the app. We can get you set up on Wiz Pro, and then we can have all kinds of fun. So as a quick recap, your simplest way is hook your dimmer up to an existing installation. Next level of complexity is to bring on a controller to each individual segment of a track on a non-dimmable driver. And then the third layer is to have individually addressable fixtures right off the bat. We're starting with the KL bar in full color, and hopefully by the end of the year, we'll get to the place where we can have each track fixture on KLICK individually addressable. So, and white tunable. That's really what we're pushing for, is to get all of our pendants and track to white tunable. That's roadmap products towards the end of the year, but everything that we're showing today is shipping and in stock now. So you can start designing spaces around individually addressable color changing KL bars up to 8 feet in length. It's awesome. I was highly skeptical of color myself until I did my house in OnCloud. And if you guys are following me on LinkedIn, there's all, or Lightline on LinkedIn, there's all kinds of photos of new applications that are coming up. It's awesome. It's a completely different mentality when you start designing around color, light, and space. So getting back to the presentation, okay, how do I actually order this stuff?
And before you continue on, we're getting a lot of comments where people want to actually see the demo. Do you mind flipping back to the last screen and letting Laura explain what's happening in the video? That way the audio flips over as you click on things.
Okay. Why don't I get to the end of the presentation, and then we'll spend as much time as we want playing with the Q&A, and I can show the different features through it, and then we'll just come back to it. Hopefully, maybe, because I don't want, I just want to be respectful of other people's time, so I don't want to get like super bogged up in what's going on. Okay, so how to click. All right, so there's two basic ways of getting this thing ordered. We've got what's called our quick click guide, and what this is basically, we've got a variety of different standard shape of ways of doing it. So you come to the quick click on the data sheet, and this is specifying just the track, not the track fixtures. So the first thing we have to figure out is what shape do we want our click in. Do we want a linear? Do we want a double linear, L, T, X, fairly self-explanatory across the photos at the top. How are we going to mount this thing? So we make sure we get you the right hardware. Surface, recess, suspended, trimless, Precision Pro. If you don't know what Precision Pro is, it's awesome. Reach out to your regional sales manager. They would be more than happy to explain it, or check out some of our other videos on Precision Pro. But basically, it is the best way of doing trimless in the entire world, as far as I'm concerned. Next thing you have to figure out is how long do you want it? So for linear, that's fairly straightforward. For some of the more complicated shapes, like your squares, your X's, or your U's, that length is like the longest segment. So like a 10-foot square would be like a 10 by 10 by 10 kind of shape. Okay, then it's control. So this is sort of the whole point of this particular system. There's two ways in here of getting it on cloud. So the first is to pick option number 1, which is Triac ELV. And that is if you're going to be using it with just our regular dimmer on the wall. The next way is to select OnCloud. And what OnCloud does is gives you a non-dimmable, so just a straight 24-volt power supply, and one power feed, one OnCloud power feed. So that controls the entire segment. If you want to, I'm sorry, it's one power feed. Then you've got the number of drivers, driver mounting, and finish. If you want to have more segments controllable on cloud, so we don't just want to do the entire thing as one controlled segment, we want to say, hey, I'm doing a square and I want to control each side individually, then we're moving past what we support in the quick click options, and we move into custom click. And custom click is where we have a few steps. One, figure out what you want. Imagine the space, draw it out, napkin sketch, whatever you want. Figure out like how we want this thing to work out. Draw it for us, send it to us. And then what we're going to do is take that, what we think you're trying to say, and we're going to put it into a budgetary drawing where we're going to draw it out and quote what we think you're asking for. Take it, review it, sign off on it, make sure that what we've drawn matches what you've imagined for the space. And then watch in amazement as your space comes to life. Order it and we'll ship it. This process, the custom click, takes time. The hardest part normally is actually step 1, is figuring out what you actually want. And then that's where our sales department can come in to help. Our regional sales managers, our sales agents will help, like call us up, like say, hey, I want to do click here. We'll talk you through the whole process. Get it on paper and then we can review it. This process honestly can take usually 2 to 3 days. But sometimes getting through the entire process of getting it signed off, that can take 3 or 4 weeks, depending as the space progresses. And then obviously there's an obligation to keep us informed if like the millwork changes, right? So ended up on site recently where we had signed off click drawings and the client was unhappy, and then it turned out that they had completely changed their kitchen layout but didn't update the lighting schedule. So it happens, but that's the process. But the quick click, the quick click right off the bat, hey, I just want an 8-foot run, boom, select the size, select the length, get what you want. This is an instant process. We can quote and ship this. We can quote it same day and then ship it out. Usually 2 to 3 days processing time to actually get her done. So I think that gets us into, okay, so then we've got some other options. We've got an existing KLICK installation, change the dimmer, it's on cloud. Okay, question. So this is where we're going to take the time to roll back to the demo. I'm going to hit escape here. I'm going to go back to the control section here. And why don't we do this in a coordinated kind of way? So maybe, Sarah, do you want to read out, do you want to manage the questions and I will answer them and try to demo it as we go?
Sure, I can definitely do that. I don't have control over bringing it to the other screen though. So the first, I mean, there isn't a lot of questions here. If we want 6000K, do I have an RGB? Do I have to go to RGB, or is it available at all? That's the first question. Okay,
so that's a good question. So on the KL bar, I'll just pick one right here, this control. Hopefully you guys are seeing the screen. I'm going to turn it to on, and we can go up to 6500K and dimmable there. So that's the one. Hey, Laura, can you go grab can you tilt up the bar where I'm individually controlling them?
The only way for it to work, Dan, is if you stop talking and you let Laura explain what's happening as it's being tilted.
Yes, we have Gil picking up the fixture right now. Dan, if you wanted to change the color temperature, then we can see it change. Hopefully everybody can see the video now. So as you can see, it got warmer. There's also a slider bar that Dan can use, and he's bringing it up to make it cooler up to 65K. So we have all those options around it. If he clicks on it specifically, there's all these other features within Wiz. So there's dynamic lighting, there's also custom colors. So you can select any color that you'd really like to have. And as you kind of go through, it will actually change on the fixture in real time. So hopefully, again, you can see my video to see that happening. There's different options of white again, so you can click through there. Jen, can you go back in and click on to one of the dynamic light settings? I think party is one of the most visible through video. So what's happening here is the light itself is actually switching through different colors, and he's able to adjust the brightness as well as the speed of the fixture.
Once you're in a dynamic setting, Laura, you can also point it out for Dan to show, but you can also change the warmth and coolness in each dynamic setting, which is cool too.
So Dan, if you want to click onto a different dynamic setting, or back into party. So yeah, you can also adjust how cool the lights are. So if you want a warm party or a cool party.
Sorry, I'm just going to interrupt. That's not the case. Party, you can only control the intensity. You can't control hue control with the intensity slider. That's only for white.
I think you can. Try it out. I'm pretty sure you can. We've been playing around with that.
No, it flips it over to white.
Okay. It's still flipping through party there.
I'm on a different fixture. So if I go to jungle.
So now that Dan clicked onto jungle, you'll see.
Now, once you start changing the color temperature, the CCT control only works in the white mode. You can when you're in the dynamic modes, you can only control the speed and the intensity, but not there's no hue or chroma shift in dynamic color settings. It
worked when we demoed it. I mean, you and I will take this offline on the room controller. We should discuss that, because when we set a someone's dynamic scene or a scene on the room controller, changing the hue or the warmth was changing the scene a little bit. All right, we can talk about that after, but I'll let Laura continue talking and pointing at the lights.
Just in case with me talking, it's maybe not working for some people. I'm wondering if, Dan, if you stop sharing your screen for a little bit, but you can still adjust some of the colors, then it should bring our videos up instead of the screen share. So people should be able to see the fixtures in a larger view. So hopefully people can maybe give some thumbs up or a hand raise if that's better. I know we were just trying to show the back end of how it works, but I think you guys are able to see that. And so here's how the fixture itself is changing, so you can hopefully see it a bit larger.
This is a really great question in the Q&A here. In the video, there are 2 light modules lit up and being controlled. Are they each being controlled to Wiz individually?
So the answer is yes. So with the light modules, there's an individual Wi-Fi chip in each fixture, which means that you can address each fixture individually, or you can group them within the app. And grouping them is as simple as grouping icons on your iPhone. You basically press, hold, and slide, and then you can control them as a group. So one of the nice things, like one of the biggest differences with OnCloud is individual control of fixtures. You can do dynamic grouping. You can run, if you have a room of 20 downlights, you can run them off one circuit, one room controller, and then you can do grouping assignments in the software rather than having to do your grouping by running copper between them. So the answer is yes, they're individually controllable or controllable as a group or controllable as an entire room.
Excellent. Glenn wants to know if you can get different lengths on a square, making it a rectangle, or different lengths of each arm of an X. I think he's referring to the quick click.
So the answer to that is yes, we can absolutely make that. We've made some pretty spectacular shapes before, but that's not in the quick click guide. That would be in the custom section. So just draw what you want, and we can quote it, design it and quote it. So yes.
Dan, I'm going to guess that a lot of people on here were on our first and second OnCloud presentations, because that is it for our Q&As right now. Guys, if you want to see any other demos on here, feel free to pop them into the Q&A, or if you have any more questions. If not, thanks so much for joining us, and we appreciate your time. Oh, there's more Q&A coming in. So KLICK is available in black and white and any Arial colors is the question.
So the channel, the core channel of the KLICK is always black. The outside panels are a stock black and white, or we can custom paint them. So there'll always be a black sort of channel in the ceiling. There's no white interior, and quite frankly, you don't really want a white interior. It doesn't hide it like you think it would. The black hides much better. But yes, the outside panels are available in any Arial color.
I have a wall and they want to do a rectangular 14x6 from the wall around the rectangle. I'm not sure if that was a question or.
Sure, draw it out, send it in. We're happy to quote it.
Cool.
All right, that's awesome. Thanks, guys. Reach out to your RSMs. Happy to talk you through the program and how this fits in with the rest of our OnCloud onboarding process.